Hello ladies and gents, I am Citizen Sleeve and welcome to Replayed Reviews, a little series I do where I take games from yesteryear and re-review them in a nice short format with a little bit of the game's intro footage. Now, if you've got any suggestions for games of yesteryear that you would like me to cover in the series, by all means, chug them in the comments. This time around, Xcom Enemy Unknown. Let's crack on, shall we? I'm a bit of a strategy game fan. Not greatly so, but a bit. And even though I was getting first into PC gaming around the mid-90s, I never played the original XCOM. So, 2012 arrives, and boom, possibly the greatest developer ever to grace the genre in Firaxis brings the hard-as-nails alien invasion back with some serious style. There's no need to go too much into the Firaxis development history, but the Civilization series is one of the true pinnacles of the genre, and its influence can be felt throughout this reimagining of XCOM in Enemy Unknown. I'm really a console gamer, and as such, I'm far more comfortable with a controller in hand than keyboard and mouse, although I've dabbled in most of the biggest strategy PC franchises. EA's Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2 was an admirable attempt at getting the plethora of standard features usually apparent in a strategy title to work successfully on a pad. It wasn't until Ensemble's Halo Wars that the controller really felt like it could handle some of the complexities required to properly play a strategy game on console. XCOM in control terms is a revelation. Now I know games have come since, but at the time I'd never played a game with such complex controls made so easy on a standard pad. The Xcom Headquarters is where your time will be spent when not deploying your squad to crash sites, and everything else is easily selected with the pad. The command center, featuring a holographic Earth, is one button press away, while moving from research to engineering is a doddle, and the same intuitive controls are apparent in related submenus. In terms of actual battles with your squad, you simply move the line attached to a squad member to the required destination with incredibly easy selection of the various abilities. 3 full paragraphs may seem a touch excessive for how a game controls, but strategy games on a console live or die by their control method, so the greatest praise I can give XCOM is that it feels natural to play with a pad. So to the game itself, and the visual style holds more than a passing similarity to Civilization, with the central human NPCs having the same visual feel as the leaders in Civ. The overall visual aesthetic is in keeping with the original game's 1950s pseudo-modern look, and this translates to the alien designs. Alien ships are the classic flying saucers most prominent in 1950s film and TV, while the aliens themselves, at least initially, fit the same design principles. The music produced by Roland Rizzo of the original XCOM and Michael McGann of Deus Ex Human Revolution is reminiscent of McGann's Deus Ex work and Mass Effect, perfectly fitting the retro sci-fi aesthetic. XCOM opens with a cutscene involving the iconic G-Man on behalf of the Council of Nations, obscured in shadow with interrogation light shining from behind him. You are tasked with running XCOM in order to stop the inevitable alien invasion, and the tutorial that follows is just another well-designed facet of the game. The first choice to be made is which region you like to set up XCOM. Different continents offer various bonuses, such as Europe's cheaper research or China's extra cash. You are then introduced to the principal supporting NPCs in their related departments, such as research and engineering, at first limited to small projects. Once you've seen what XCOM HQ has to offer with the secondary building menu in engineering, satellite placement, and the central world map, it's time for the first ground mission. You begin with 4 squad slots, no specializations or other equipment, but you can to some extent customize individual soldier faces and armor. I made the mistake of naming and designing all of my squad after family and friends, without realizing they were all pretty much going to die, but I'll touch on difficulty later. Once the mission is launched, a cinematic shows your squad ship taking off from the facility and landing at the invasion or crash site. The first mission is obviously a gentle introduction to the central gameplay mechanics, with the most basic alien type, the Sectoid. XCOM is a wholly turn-based strategy affair. While the aliens are initially unseen, you move squad members one by one until the end of your turn, with a strange otherworldly communication sound indicating alien movement. Once the position of at least some of the aliens is determined, you'll see them reposition and attack in the same way you do, oblique with different weapon technology to begin with. Your scientific officer, Dr. Valen, likes to make it clear via the radio that explosive damage to the aliens will hinder the gathering of alien artifacts and materials, a must for researching better tech for your squad. Abilities range from Overwatch, suppression fire, which can keep an alien in cover, to using medpacks, throwing grenades, firing rockets, deploying active camouflage, to the later unlocked psionic powers. The Sectoid is the first alien to be encountered, and fits the 1950s archetype of alien design, with a small fragile body and giant head. These little guys are more of a nuisance than anything else, but can physically link minds seen in-game with a coloured tether connecting the two. This allows for buttered health, but if the Sectoid who created the link is killed, then both die. Floaters hover above the battle with jetpacks, jumping to dangerous areas, and while the melee-based chrysalids and mutant berserkers need to be kept at a distance. I found the game flowed wonderfully well during combat, and I'm a fan of the turn-based mechanic in a strategy game, as less time pressure allows for a more considered gameplay approach. Upon returning to Xcom HQ, you're rewarded with a range of options, from squad updates that show specific soldiers becoming specialists in, say, sniping, to new research projects that can be initiated. After the first few projects are completed, things start to open up, with autopsies being a particular favourite of mine. Watching an alien be unceremoniously cut open by a faceless hazmat suit wearing scientist while Dr. Valen narrates is a joy to behold. Autopsies provide even more options for further weapon and armour development, and a little later, with the help of the arc weapon and a containment area, you'll also be able to interrogate a number of the alien types you encounter on the field. Once researched, this new technology can be put into production via engineering, but it's important to only buy what you need and retain what cash you can. Money is gained monthly and somewhat dependent on the region you've chosen, as well as the success of your missions. Certain alien materials you have an abundance of can be sold on the black market, and occasionally your Xcom HQ interceptors, which can be upgraded as well, will have the opportunity to shoot down various alien spacecraft. If successful, a new crash site becomes available for your squad to investigate, along with the more story-driven missions. In terms of the narrative, the outsider alien, form generally found in crashed UFOs, is at first one of the central plot devices. Dr. Valen requests an outsider for capture, and subsequent interrogation leading to some very interesting discoveries. I certainly won't reveal any more of the story here, but suffice to say the final conflict is rather brutal, especially on Iron Man difficulty, as you all well know by now. I was surprised by the loading duration XCOM, as it proves fleeting, and for a game with so many facets, that's an impressive feat on the consoles of that generation. Certainly now, on PC and on more modern consoles, it runs absolutely beautifully. How difficult a game should be is an interesting debate, and considering the hand-holding provided in most modern AAA titles, XCOM's unerring approach should be applauded. Not only does Enemy Unknown not pander to the all-too-familiar tropes of all-access for every audience gaming, but it does so with a rewarding swagger. Even on the easiest difficulty, those lovely soldiers you've carefully customised and renamed as family, friends, enemies, or fantastical types will die constantly. Medpacks and the use of cover is definitely your friend, as is Overwatch. This suppression fire ability should always be used if the shot on is evaluated as only having 50% or less probable success. Yes, the game offers a serious challenge, but the turn-based strategy lets players re-evaluate positioning and weapon usage without too much pressure. The fact that each mission develops as a player-driven narrative also helps. Your actions may change during a replay after watching many of your squad die previously. It's those deaths that give a sense of attachment to the soldiers lost, and a far more personal narrative experience that most games simply can't attain. This sense of loss permeates strategy as you attempt to protect your squad, but a bad tactical decision here and there can eradicate most of your soldiers. Watching a squad member completely lose it, scream in fear and randomly fire at the aliens after a colleague's death reminds me of Hudson in Aliens, adding more character to those under your command on the field. Satellites are also a major key to success. The more you have across the various continents, the more invasion and crash sites your squad can investigate. A satellite will also offer greater safety for that region and stave off the inevitable exodus of XCOM supporting nations later in the game. Enemy Unknown's multiplayer is a touch limited in options, with literally ranked death matches only on offer, but those matches are wonderful to engage in. Starting with the same number of credits to spend, players choose from a wealth of customisable human and alien troop types from the campaign. Many of the abilities gained later in the single player are available immediately here, allowing for more interesting tussles. Further modes, units, weapon types, maps, and a StarCraft 2 style league system would all greatly improve multiplayer, but the mode is still enormous fun, and of course is improved hugely in its very successful sequel. XCOM Enemy Unknown was not made by one of the biggest studios on the planet, or with anything like the budget of other AAA titles, but this reimagining can more than stand up to the biggest releases. Its difficulty is unforgiving, and this will surely deter many gamers, but the challenge and reward gained is sublimely realised. If you're going to remake a game that was somewhat niche to begin with, that most gamers, certainly at the younger end of the spectrum, won't have any knowledge of it, this is the way to do it. It's a player-driven narrative missions, sense of troop attachment, beautiful sci-fi 1950s aesthetic, and natural pad controls make this a must-have console strategy title. Thank you so much for watching and listening. It is an absolute privilege to be able to make videos for you all, and in 2021, I intend to go at it. No more messing about. I'm going to crack on and do a bunch of stuff for you guys. Now, if there's anything you want me to do as a replayed review, any old game you think you'd like me to deconstruct and do a quick snap of, by all means, chuck those in the comments. And if you've got anything you would like me to try and do on the channel, game podcast, skits and sketches with random comedy voices, or breakdowns, or if you want me to bring back talking title screens, anything like that at all, any suggestions you've got, put them in the comments, because we want to build a community, right? We want to do stuff together and do stuff that you enjoy watching. I don't want to just do stuff for the sake of it. So if you want me to do certain things, chuck it in the comments, I'll have a gander, and I will consider it. Now, if you liked the video, hit that like button. If you didn't like the video, hit that dislike button. And if you really want to support me, sub to the channel. Get involved, talk in the comments, really try and spread the word and get people involved in this lovely thing we call gaming. I'll also be covering TV series and TV episodes, films, all types of different media here and there, and we also have the Last Edit Film podcast over on my other channel. So go and check that out. That's with Silver and myself, and that's where we basically take an obscure often film and just deep dive it and do a nice, lovely, long, in-depth podcast about that particular film. Now, don't forget, you can also follow me on Twitch, Citizen Sleeve over there, Citizen Sleeve over on Twitter, Facebook, and the Instagram, as it were. But I'm probably most active on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching again. It's all kinds of appreciated, especially in this brand new year where a lot of us are just beginning again. Take it easy. I will see you very soon.